Here's a plunge base router with a guide bushing in it, and I'll just show you what I'm doing with this. I'm using that fluted bit in it, and I've used it to carve a channel, if I can find it. Here it is, around this template. Now that template is 4mm hardboard, and it was just a scrap piece of hardboard. There it is underneath it, but the shape is this casting here, this piece of cast iron. Now this piece of cast iron is about 10mm, including this lug here, and I've got to sit it inside this solid piece of 2-inch oak. Well, there's 4 bits of 2-inch oak. They're glued together, and I've grooved that out on the spindle moulder and cut some joining pieces and then glued it up. So and it's pretty solid, and so you know, like a biscuit joint sort of thing. And I haven't got a biscuit jointer, so I generally just cut the wood. And also I always think those biscuit joints are a little bit thin when you're dealing with large sections of stock. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. Anyway, here we are. Look, what I've got to do is I've got to sit this large casting, which is a piece of an antique cast iron cooking stove, and I've got to sit that flush in the oak, so it looks nice. And it's obviously incomplete because it has 2 hot plates, if that's the right word, but 2 plates sit inside the top of the stove. And you know, you always get that, don't you, because you have to remove these to give yourself access to the firebox, or for cleaning purposes, or yeah, mostly for cleaning purposes, I think. But anyway, that's it, and it's, you know, it's a reasonable sized thing. So on the workbench, there we are, and here's the problem. I thought that if I used a top bearing cutter, I would be able to work my way around this, but with a top bearing cutter there, and this is only 10mm by 10mm, so if you're Imperial guys, that's just a bit less than ½ inch, isn't it? So let's call it ½ inch for the sake of argument. And but I would have to make the whole cut in one go in solid oak, because otherwise that bearing there wouldn't follow the template here. And I wanted I wanted to make it easy by cutting the template the same size as the cast iron plate, so I didn't have to mess about with the inevitable differences between diameters of cutters and guide bushes that you would have otherwise. And incidentally, you know, this set came with a plunge base, and it came with a fixed base, and the fixed base also, we said, there's a fixed base. So it's what I call an American pattern router with a round base like that. And my first router was like this, was actually a Craftsman router, and I really liked it, but we parted company somewhere on the other side of the globe about 40 years ago, and that was the end of it. And I thought, well, I'd really like to get another one, because I got a Makita with a very strange sort of rectangular base on it, and I don't know, I'd never really get on with it in the same way. I really like these round bases, so I found this setup here. The only problem with it is where the router bit is supposed to go in the center there, that's a very small hole, isn't it, for your average router bit. I mean, I've got some, and this is a 1/2-inch router, so you know it's quite a reasonable size machine. It's not enormous, but it's a couple of horsepower or something, and so I tend to use quite big router cutters, and they won't go through that hole in the middle. So I had to make a new base for it, but that wasn't a big deal. Now that base is entirely to accommodate these guide bushes, which I never use. I think this is a kitchen fitter's tool, and I mean, just like the last video I did on Mitosaurs, it only occurred to me recently that the Mitosaur I bought was a sort of a kitchen fitter's Mitosaur, and I'd never really looked at them like that before. I'd always looked at them in terms of capacity and size of the motor and so on and so forth. But it never occurred to me that some routers were specifically for some tradesmen. And because what I do is building restoration, so we have to do a bit of everything. And it's sort of like this, really. Every job you get is a different one, and it presents its own challenges. Anyway, I thought that I could use this rather than use a self guiding cutter like that, which is what I normally would do. And so I've done that, and there's the groove. But I've got to make that groove bigger, because I've got to end up using this just to trim up right up to the template, so I've got a nice cozy fit for that piece of cast iron. So I've got to go from this, which I've already used, to this router cutter here. So this is the next size up, and that is, you know, it's a bit bigger than that one there, and not much. Not going to tell me what it is. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. The point is, it won't fit in that guide bush there. So I've got to take this guide bush out and put the next one in. Now that's not the next one. That is going to be, that's going to push me way away from where I already am. And in any case, in common with the one in that sits between that one and that one, this protruding flange underneath the router base is far too long, and this template is only 4mm thick. So I'm lucky, because I've got a pretty comprehensive setup here, and I don't have to buy another router bush. What I've done is I've stuck the one I've already got in the 3-jaw chuck on the lathe, and I'm going to part it off with a parting tool like that. So there it is, stuck in there, and it's all ready to go. So I'm just going to part that off to the thickness required to sit flush on top of that very narrow template. So I guess the moral of the story is, if you don't have a lathe, you've got to have a variety of of different bushings, and you can buy them in sets, incidentally. So it's not like I'm being a vandal here or anything like that. I mean, for goodness sake, it's been sitting in the box for 20 years or however long I've had the router. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't get that router anymore. So anyway, I'm going to part that off, and I think that'll get me to where I want to go. And then finally, I'm going to have to finish the job with that one. And then after that, I'm going to have to chop the rest of it out to accommodate the thickest part of the casting here, which is in itself made thicker to accommodate these hot plates that are missing. I don't need them. So the client's still got those, I hope. And yeah, there we are. And it's rather a bizarre shape, really. It's a bit like a set of spectacles. And this flange around here is very narrow here, and the whole thing only just fits in the recess next to the fireplace where it's going. And so it's yeah, it's a little bit of a strange one, but this is what we get faced with. So I'm going to have to chop this out even deeper than the 10 mil that I'm going with the little self-guided bit, but that'll give me my 10 mil around there. That's the important thing, and it'll give me 10 mil, and I'm including these little lugs in it, which presumably locate it in the rest of the fire, which isn't being used. It's only this piece. It's a decorative thing, you know. It's not. It doesn't. It's not intended to serve any practical purpose. It's just there for show, for a bit of fun, and to fill a bit of a niche on one side of a very big fireplace in a very old house. And yeah, so there we are. And it's very typical, actually, of the work that we do here, because everything we do is a one-off. And you do have to do some mental gymnastics sometimes to try and work out what the best way of doing this is. I didn't really, I could have cut this in oak in this shape here and in two pieces, because I'm very challenged in terms of the width. There's a stone wall right there, and there's another one on this side. I just get it in there, I think, just. I'm not sure whether I won't have to just very gently take an angle grinder to the very edge of that plate. I'm hoping I don't have to, but boy, it's tight. It is tight. Anyway, there we are. I thought I'd share that with you. Interesting one, and I think I've done it the difficult way. Might have made a bit of a mountain out of a molehill there. We'll see, and I'll show it to you when it's finished. Hopefully, if it's good enough. And I hope you find that useful. And if you've got any comments to make, please do. And please like and subscribe. It would really help us to get a few more viewers and subscribers on the channel. Thank you very much.